Well, good morning. Sadly, I think I'm going to finish this baby up and call it good. A couple things that popped up. One of them being that this no longer is my radio. It's sold. And the new owner doesn't want to invest any more time or money in it. It's paid for, it's done. So, and this happens quite a bit. Actually, what the deal is, this gentleman's name is John. This is a different John than the one that, this is John the carpenter. And what he does is he comes by once in a while, or usually what I do is I take stuff by. And one of the sad facts of life is that these old radios are kind of like old cars. Either the engine or the chassis dies, which can be repaired, on a car, or the body decays away, or the engine blows up. It's always something. Well, on these old plastic radios, even though they're made pretty well, they probably, had a lot of rough handling, and they've been thrown around, and as the perceived value of them decreases because they get dinged up and nicked up, the cases get beat up, and they lose value and fall out of favor. So a lot of times I get these, and what I do is I fix up the chassis, and John the carpenter buys them, and he builds new cases for them. I think I've mentioned this once before on another video. And it gives him something to do, and he builds them for friends and family, and he's been promising me for years now that he'll build me one. Well, I think the only way I'm ever going to get a radio that he's built is to hold out on him and never bring him another chassis till he's like blue in the face, which is okay. So that being said, he's kind of put the brakes on work, and basically in a nutshell, he's kind of like my other friend John. I somehow attract all these people that are in a big hurry. I can never get them to slow down. They'll implode one of these days, and I guess I won't have any friends anymore. So, that being said, I'm going to kind of wrap this up with just a brief, well, not a brief, but an overview of things you really ought to do. I showed you how to change a cap. We tested some resistors and poked around underneath, and kind of found out how to get a schematic, sort of. And I'll get a hold of another radio, and this time I did. Actually, what happened is he saw it sitting on the table. I was getting ready to videotape it, and he's, I need that. And he gave me the money. And money talks. That's all there is to it. And he didn't give me a couple bucks either, so. And this is nothing super special. I mean, it's probably special to me because I put some time and effort into it, and we've had a few laughs, and I've spent time tinkering with it. And I've got other projects I need to get on with now that spring is coming. So anyway, one of the things, we'll just do a little demonstration of this, that you're going to find out on your, there we go, on your AA is this innocent looking part right there. I hate to tell you how many times I've gotten folks come by and say they've got a hold of one of these radios or a similar radio, and it's eating tubes. And you get to quiz them a little bit more, and it's not eating tubes, it's eating a tube, and it's usually eating the power supply tube. And I've got this plugged in, and we'll turn out the lights. How's that look? Yeah, not bad. Well, just kind of sit back and watch this for a second. And by the way, I've been letting this thing sit and play, and it really does play quite well. for a little radio. Did you notice that? Let's do it again real quick. It might not show up. Starts out bright, gets dim, and then gets bright again. It's kind of interesting. Very interesting. If you sit back and get your schematic out and look at how that bulb is put into the circuit. It's right over here, right next to the power supply tube. And if you take a good hard look at it, and I don't make the screechy chalkboard noise anymore, it's just right over here in the you'll find that bulb is across the rectifier tube. It's in between pins 3 and 6. Now the way that it's drawn, it isn't coming out very well. How about we do this? Yeah, there we go. That's better. We got pins 3, 4. Well, we'll just change that to a 6 and 4. And the bulb is between pins 3 and 6. Okay, so that really are those really are two resistors in parallel. And if you look at the whole schematic, basically this goes on from tube to tube to tube in what's called the Christmas tree light fashion. You know, so if one of these burns out, the whole string stops, and this loops back, and this looks like a load for 120 volts. Okay. So what's kind of going on there is when you first turn this on, these are all cold and the resistance is kind of low. So when that comes on, that bulb is really bright. There's probably about a couple amps of current flow through that circuit, and as things start heating up, then the bulb gets dim. It happens pretty quick. If you watch that, go back up and watch that a couple times, you'll see that happen. But then the bulb starts glowing more normal. So you kind of start to wonder what that's about. Well, if you look at the schematic a little bit, you kind of see that there's a wire from this side of the bulb up here to the plate. Oh, so that's what the deal is. So what's happening is you turn the set on, all the filaments are cold, the bulb gets really bright. As they start to heat up, the bulb dims down. Then, as the rest of the tubes start coming online and you start drawing current through the rectifier, you draw current through the bulb and it starts to brighten up again. It's kind of sneaky. The AA5 is a pretty sneaky radio. It doesn't look like it off the bat. Now, back to this bulb. This thing is nothing but trouble. Now here's where the trouble comes. Okay, you're playing a radio along and the bulb burns out. It's no big deal, right? It's just a bulb. I don't watch the radio in the dark anyway. Well, some people don't. Okay, so we'll flip this over, and maybe a little zooming out is in order. And we'll get out the handy dandy voltmeter, and we'll take the bulb and put it back here where I can get to it. Okay. So that is AC across there, right? You knew that. And so am I going to get this on? Yeah, so we put our voltmeter across pins 6. Well, I told you that. Damn it. Okay. A little. I'll fix that later. Okay. So we'll hook up to those pins that the bulb is in parallel with. I'll show you a little trick here. Excuse me. Not doing so hot today. Allergy season's here and it's just tearing me out. And I've discovered the best thing to do is just tough it out. Okay. So here is our we're across the bulb with our voltmeter. And so it's, you know, warming up there. You can see it's starting to draw more current. And that's the voltage. It's like 2 volts. And here the heater's kicking online, and the voltage is kind of flowing through there. You can hear the radio coming up. Okay. That's a 6-volt bulb, but it draws about 5 volt. Okay. I'm going to reach back here and watch what happens when the bulb burns out. Wait a minute. 12 volts. That's not going to do the filament any good on the tube. Okay, what's on the other side between the other pins? Okay, 27 volts. There's a little glare there, but I guess we'll just have to tough it out. There we go. And we get the bulb out there. 26 volts. Well, wait a minute. What's up with that? There's something funny going on there. Well, here's what I believe is going on. Despite this drawing that I just discovered is incorrect, you know, this is actually pin 4. This is pin 3. Let me check one more time where I misspoke again. What I really think goes on is those 2 filaments aren't of equal value. The drawing makes it look like that, and if you've worked with old radios, you get the impression that that's a center tap. What I think it is it's more like this. And this is your power supply tube. I believe that it's more like this, that there's kind of an offset there. And that's supposed to be your bulb. So what happens is when that bulb burns out, it throws extra voltage across that filament. And a couple months down the road, it doesn't die right away. Tubes are a little tougher than they look, but you've just about tripled the voltage. So what happens is a few months down the road, that tube's filament opens up, and then you got an unhappy customer. So mental note. 2 lessons to be learned here is A, always keep the bulbs in good working order, and B, if you're doing this for you know, cash money, it might behoove you to put a brand new bulb in there or provide the customer with an extra bulb. It's a whopping 50 cents. It's less than that if you find one at a garage sale. And it might save you some trouble. And yes, I learned this the hard way. When I was very young, I went through a few tubes in a radio, and I just couldn't get it through my mind. And I think I put the thing on the shelf. And then some years later, I think I read a little service book or something that explained that. And if you get online, or it would be in the tube, you know, they make these tube reference books like RCA and Sylvania. They actually talk about this. And sometimes on some sets there's a resistor in parallel with that if you need more current in some of the bigger sets. So you might want to pay attention to that. Some of the other things you want to pay attention to too is, you know, we've been bonking this thing around for, you know, 8 or 9 episodes now, and I'm going to check these antenna leads. Idealistically, you probably ought to take them off. when you start jacking around, because they're going to get broke eventually. But you don't want to, you know, send this radio out with some wanky leads. And another thing you want to do is check the line cords real good. And it may behoove you, I have mixed emotions about doing this, but depending on the set, I do it. A lot of these sets have just standard cords with standard non-polarized plugs. Well, you can put a polarized plug on there and wire it up in such a way that the chassis has less potential of becoming, you know, hot and less dangerous. There's always a certain amount of danger in any set, and actually, I was thinking about this the other day. This is the ground fault protector off an outlet strip I had, and it failed. Well, that's just ducky. You know, so now I have a outlet strip with a normal plug on it that won't fail. I wonder which is better. But anyway, when I was grumbling and looking at this and pondering why it had failed, because this wire had become brittle and overheated, I was thinking about that. And I thought, well, what happens if you hook a radio like this up to a ground fault protected circuit and it goes into fault? It should just trip. Okay. So you could do one of two things. You could plug that into a circuit like that. Now granted, you might have to have a true ground, or I discovered this the other day. This is the end of a hairdryer. Don't tell anybody, this is the missus's brand new hairdryer. She foolishly left it unguarded. Anyway, it's got a ground fault protector circuit in it, but it's 2-wire. And it's got a retractable cord, which I've been admiring quite a lot. I don't know what happened to that dryer, honey. Maybe we never bought it. And it's got a lot of annoying warning stickers. Anyway, I thought to myself, well, you know, you could just get a hold of one of those and make a little, you know, nice little circuit to plug into and use it on your bench, or use it upstairs where you never play more than 1 or 2 radios at a time, you wouldn't think. So you can make a nice little test fixture or a safety fixture. Or what you could do, you could go to the garage sale or the janky, you know, thrift store and buy one of these and lop that cord off and just put that cord right on your radio, and it would be safe forever. It would look like hell, but I don't know, might be an idea. Food for thought. Well, I better return this before I get in big trouble. So there you go. Like I said, John doesn't want me to do anymore, and actually, when he's not looking, I'm going to fix a couple other caps in there. What I've done is I went through the circuit here, and like this cap here is across high voltage. That really probably ought to be replaced. But there are some other caps, like there's some caps down here that don't need to be replaced. And you know, they aren't across any high voltage, and they probably will live a long time. And this radio looks like it was taken pretty good care of. You know, there's some other caps in these radios too, like these little mica caps. Usually you see these in over in the oscillator circuit, which is where this is at. Any of these low voltage, low capacitance type caps usually are pretty sealed up, and they very seldom have trouble. And sometimes they're in really annoying positions and they're really hard to replace. I don't have too many problems with those now. There are some molded paper caps that look like these, but they're a little bit bigger. And if you look, if the values are, you know, above like several hundred picofarad, usually they're the molded paper caps, and they're a little different story. So, you know, there you're going to kind of have to use your brain a little bit. Okie dokie. Well, I'm going to put you to bed. And finally, we got other fish to fry, bigger fish. And I'll find another one of these radios, and we can kind of find some other fun things to play with. So thanks for kind of watching along on this series. It's been fun. Thanks for the comments and stuff. Appreciate it. And take her easy as always. Have a groovy day.